Welcome to Grace Notes, the weekly community affairs show with Town of Yorktown Supervisor Michael Grace.
I think we have to change it to monthly.
What? See that you ruined your opening. No, right? Yeah. Well, I
haven't been here for
guess that is true, Supervisor. And by the way, I'm Bruce A. Parb, Chase Media Group, and as Supervisor Grace just reminded me, not that I had to be reminded, but it's been quite a while, right? I mean,
Yeah,
may
we're
have
still
been-
was having, I think, technical difficulties with the show that we did at the street fair. So maybe
Right.
we'll get that on eventually.
Yeah, I mean,
but-
we apologize, actually.
Right.
If you've been seeing a show that's a little long in the tooth, although there was a great guest moderator in my absence, and that's Joe Visconti of the Yorktown Chamber of Commerce, and we thank Joe again for doing that. And since then, the street festival, the hugely successful street
Right.
festival, has come and gone, and we spent a lot of time at the street festival videotaping a lot of people, interesting interviews and guests, and we're going to get that on very quickly.
yeah, because we had a great lineup
Yeah,
of guests
yeah.
there, from Nita Lowy to town board candidates
Sure,
to
yeah.
judge candidates,
candidates, yeah.
to
State Senate
senator
candidate, yeah,
candidates.
right.
It was a nice. That show's always a great show because there's a lot of activity, a lot of people come by, a great success again, and it's always nice for them to be able to stop in and talk to us and the rest of the town through that show. So we'll try to figure out what
Well, that'll
happened with
get up
that.
right,
Get
very-
up on get it on the air. Maybe we'll run two simultaneously.
Yeah, really.
Back to back, whatever.
And it is a long show because it's
Yeah.
it's a street festival, and there's a lot of people, interesting people to talk to. Veterans Day, depending when you're watching this, we're taping on Wednesday evening at Town Hall, but we want to salute all the veterans, not just for Veterans Day, but my dad, may he rest in peace, was a very proud veteran of World War II. He was a sergeant, and so that's one of the things I like to say, and a lot of people say we should be thanking them every day.
Absolutely.
You know, Veterans Day is a great event, one-day event, a holiday to remember them. But I mean, I know a lot of people do this, and I do it. Is whenever I see a veteran, I go, "Thank you for your service."
Yeah, and so well, without them,
Yeah, we may not be sitting here right now.
There's nothing left to do. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just sounds cliche-ish, but they are true heroes, and it's not
Yeah.
just the celebrated ones in every organization, but they're the small, the little cogs that make the wheel as important as the generals that direct it.
Yeah,
And,
that's right.
you know,
Foot
that's
soldiers, so to
yeah,
speak.
yeah, and they an enormous amount of sacrifices in time and sometimes physically and Memorial Day we celebrate those that have given everything for our causes. But I always say I think it's really funny as being an elected official and now being a participant in a lot of these ceremonies. It's very humbling, and I think an incredible privilege and honor to be able to actually verbalize the thank you on behalf of the town. I think it's one of those kind of eerie places that in a sense that you step into as an elected official, carrying the responsibility of saying giving the right amount of gratitude towards these people, and I find it an incredible and great honor to be able to do that. And it's really not one worthy of myself. So it's nice. It really is. It really is great. And we had a nice parade over in Shrub Oak and a nice service over here in front of Town Hall. And my only wish is that we would see more people come out.
Yeah.
And but I know that there's an enormous amount of gratitude for all
Oh, yeah.
of it.
No, absolutely. And we just want to mention, coming up, as we always do on the show, all the events that we want to remind people about that happen in and around Yorktown for Yorktowners, and sometimes for out-of-towners as well. Thursday, November 13th, there's a couple of very big events going on. One is the Yorktown Teen Center's fifth annual fundraising dinner, fifth anniversary fundraising dinner. And the honoree this year is the past highway superintendent, Eric DiBartolo, is being honored this year. And that's at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, November 13th at Putnam National, I believe it is, right? Yeah.
And you have the Hudson Valley Hospital wine tasting.
Right, and that's, I mean, our foundation is always really happy to support the Yorktown Teen Center, and in fact, we donate the printing of the program, and unfortunately, well, it's not unfortunately for the Hudson Valley Hospital, where I'm on the foundation board with Joe Visconti and Rosemary Panio and Tony Grasso and a few other Yorktowners. And the same night is their big fundraiser for the Ashikari Breast Cancer Center at Trump, which is a big wine tasting,
Right.
a very big event. So there's two sort of conflicting great events, unfortunately, at the same time on the same night. And
This is why we have to start getting that calendar up.
yeah, I know, right, to hopefully try to avoid some of these
Conflicts.
conflicts in the
It's
future.
two great causes that
Yeah.
desperately need public
Support,
support. Yeah.
right. And then on Friday, November 14, is the Field Home Blood Drive at 1 p.m. If you can get over there to help out.
And also on the 14th, which is Friday, right?
Yes.
Is at Murphy's Bar and Grill Restaurant is a fundraiser for the Yorktown Historical Society. They're fundraising to get the Pines Bridge Memorial, raise money for the Pines Bridge Memorial to go up, and that's this
Oh, right.
Friday.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
Friday
yeah,
the
yeah,
14th.
yeah.
Right. And congratulations to Councilman Murphy on his victory in the state senate race, 40th district.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
So it's nice. In Yorktown, we have a state senator now among us, amidst us. And on Saturday, November 15th, there's a bunch of things. You can go to yorktownny.org and see all of the events on the town website's community calendar. But speaking of veterans and Veterans Day and such, on Sunday, November 16th, is the Hudson Valley Honor Flight Lunch of Honor. And isn't Judge Lagonia involved in that somehow? I thought he was. Or I know he's like an aviation person as a pilot himself and as an attorney. And, but I'm pretty sure Judge Lagonia has something to do with that Honor Flight event. I mean, for now, those are the main ones. Of course, Thanksgiving is coming up very soon, and on November 22nd, a Saturday, there's the 4th Annual Veterans Thanksgiving Dinner. So there's a lot of...
Yeah, and then we have coming up very soon, and before you know it, will be the Christmas Holiday Lights Parade on December, that Saturday, is it the 6th or the 7th?
6, right? Tom, yeah.
6th.
Yeah, December 6th. It is coming up really fast.
Right,
now.
and that always is a great event. So if you're going to participate, all you have to do is register to participate.
Right.
The only requirement to be in the parade is that you be lighted in some way, because
Right.
it's a lights parade. Last year we had this would be the 3rd annual. We had a great turnout the first 2 years.
Sure.
We give the Randy Zapkin Community Service Award, do the Christmas tree lighting over at the YCC Fields. And I think we have this year they're going to have a grandstand for the judges to sit at to judge the parade participants for the different
really? Yeah.
awards. Yeah,
That's
they're in
great.
front of the firehouse. I think
Yeah.
they're doing a whole thing.
That's
in front-
nice.
Yeah,
No, that's
yeah. They used to judge them by when they used to line up, but the problem with them, people wouldn't be in full regalia
Right,
until they got
right.
actually in the parade.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a great idea. And we should just, in terms of fairness and closure, so to speak, and all that, we mentioned Senator-elect Murphy. As far as Yorktown representation from Election Day, State Assemblyman Steve Katz won, so
Right.
we congratulate him. Our representatives are Nita Lowy, right, and also Sean Maloney, who represents a small piece, right? of
Yeah,
Yorktown.
yeah. And I guess
They both
yeah.
won.
My understanding that race is still
Which
the,
one?
the Maloney
I thought-
Hayworth.
no, she
she
conceded.
conceded.
Oh,
but
she conceded,
But
yeah.
the machines are still an impound for some reason. So
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know what that.
But she did. I did see that.
Yeah.
That she conceded. Now the town board race, is that
That has
official?
not been
It's not
decided.
official. Okay. I mean, we know, of course, Susan Siegel and Tom Diana
Right.
were the candidates. With 100% of the votes, I guess absent the absentee ballot, so to speak, right?
Yeah,
Ms. Siegel was ahead by 129 votes, I believe. Right?
It's 129 votes at this point. They have to recanvass the machines. Sometimes the machines don't
So that could be
tally
another
things.
couple of weeks before the official results.
Well, I think they have to. I think they have a deadline. So I think by the end of last week in November, they have to certify it. They have to be ready to certify it. But I think at this point, it's probably pretty safe to say that Susan Siegel did win the race.
Because, it's not going to change.
Well, usually even the paper ballots usually follow the trend of the machine ballots. So unless there's something,
Right, I see what you're saying. The
a
proportion,
mission-
it's proportional.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
So hopefully, actually, we start our one of the things I was going to talk about tonight too. We do start our budget reviews this week, beginning tomorrow, actually,
Right.
with all the different department heads. This year's budget is a very, very, very tight budget. We were hoping, and I was really aiming toward doing a third consecutive year of tax levy decrease. Unfortunately, driven more by the employee mandated employee benefits and costs of retirement, which are going to be significant this year because we anticipate a large number of the workforce that we do have will be retiring this year. What we have to do is we have to budget because there's certain
You're talking about the Yorktown workforce.
Yorktown workforce. There's certain there's certain things that we have to budget on for people that retire.
And is there a mandatory retirement age?
No, but what's happening is on retirement, there's certain things, certain payments that have to be made on retirement. And so that was not insignificant this year based upon what we project the probable retirees for 2015. So we have to budget for that,
Right.
whether we like it or not. And that was a major factor in driving up our costs for 2015. And believe it or not, our energy costs are based upon last year's experience. We really had to rebudget the costs for heating, fuel, and electrical. With the recent downturn in energy prices, we're hoping that we'll be able to get some of that what we budgeted back over the year. But right now we have to budget based upon our past experiences. So those two things really drove a lot of the costs. Based upon those outlays, it was very difficult for us to keep the levy flat again. So the levy is going up $200,000, which essentially equates to the average increase. There's going to be increase in the tax levy on a per household basis. It's less than a cup of coffee, but it's still an increase.
Right? Yep.
What I am very proud about is that for the 3 years that I've been supervisor, the levy has actually cumulatively over those 3 years has gone down about $1 million. And what's interesting about it is that everybody may be familiar with the tax cap, which is on the levy. That's the 2% tax cap, which they all touted from Albany. It basically means the levy or the bill, the eventual bill that you send out, the full bill that you send out to the properties within your jurisdiction, your municipal jurisdiction, can increase by more than 2%. The first year, over the first 2 years that of my tenure as supervisor, we actually decreased that by $1.2 million, the levy. So it wasn't a matter of worrying about the cap, about increasing it no more than 2%. We actually went down significantly over those 2 years. What happens with the tax cap is supposedly the municipality that doesn't expend its total cap, stays under its cap, has the ability to roll over to the next fiscal year some of what they saved in that prior fiscal year. So supposedly if I didn't use the 2%, I can roll over some of the 2% to the following year, So for two consecutive years, tax cap never even came into play because we decreased the taxes
Right.
2 consecutive years in a row.
Right.
So the irony in it is that the way the way they do the calculations in Albany, nobody considered the contingency that you actually decrease the levy, because they always anticipate that you'd increase it. You may not increase it to 2%, but you'll increase it. You'll have some increase in it.
Right.
The problem is when you decrease this, it's like a sort of almost like a double negative in the tax cap calculation.
Right.
And by that I mean, instead of the basis for your limit as to how far you can go up in taxes being a base year plus 2%, and then if you save something, that plus 2%. When you actually go down, what happens is your ability, your
It works against you.
Works
It
against
works
us.
against you, right. Right.
So there's an
Yeah.
so there's an absolute incentive.
It's like the walls are closing in on you, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
So by actually having decreased the levy for 2 years in a row means that that what would to go back to the
right.
level of taxes that I inherited when I first came into office, to go just back to that level would be a violation of the tax cap.
But it's very, it's not unheard of, and in fact, in the business world, there's an expression a boss of mine used to use years ago, when you're forecasting and budgeting for the following year, if you didn't spend what you had in your budget, he would say, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Right,
Meaning,
right.
that means they're going to look and say, well, you don't need this much, you didn't spend that much last year. So it's the same principle.
Right. And what what we've been trying to get out of is that mentality. It's just a matter of look. It's kind of funny. Everybody talks about the criticism, and I'm starting to hear it already, even with this budget, is the use of fund balance to close some of the gap in what I have to raise in taxes. And everybody says, well, you're raiding the rainy day fund.
Yes.
Rainy day fund, and the thing is that what people don't understand, that suppose rainy day fund is what we call, there isn't a fund that's put aside says this is for rainy days.
Right.
It's what we call the surplus, and the surplus means that based upon what we budgeted, and we go to 1 year to budget, and this is the anticipated expenses, and this is our anticipated revenues. Well, sometimes, and we've done it 2 years in a row, we've actually saved. We didn't expend what we budgeted to expend,
right,
because we were efficient. We worked well. We saved money where we could. We say, well, we have to, we anticipate this much in staffing and costs, et cetera, and when we didn't have to spend all that money, we don't.
Right.
And our revenues, some of our revenues came in. So what happens is, at the end of the day, in retrospect, what I've done is I've added money add money to my surplus. I've ended up with more money than I anticipated because I spent less and I made more.
Right.
So it becomes a surplus. So in retrospect, when I went out to tax somebody, when I went out to tax the prior year, if I knew what I knew in retrospect, I would say, well, I don't have to tax you that much, because the idea is not to just generate surpluses for the sake of generating surpluses. It's to tax you as the least possible amount that I have to tax you is what I want to do.
Right.
And if I'm creating a surplus, that means I've taxed you more than I should have, because I didn't need to, because I developed a surplus, and my budget should keeps a certain contingency amount in there anyhow. So to add to the constantly add to the surplus means I got to be a little bit better in my projections, or more frivolous in my spending, which I won't be. So anyhow, so the whole idea is that I can build. It says, well, why are you raiding the rainy day fund? Well, don't we need a big rainy day fund? Well, I can have a huge rainy day fund. I can have a huge surplus. It takes only one thing to create a surplus. Just tax you.
Right.
Well, I tax you more than I need to tax you, and I can have a nice big surplus, and I can sit there and say, look what I've got. I've got a 25% surplus. I got a, millions and millions of dollars in surplus. Well, you know what? It's not my money. It's your money. It's your taxpayers' money. So I always tell people, if you want, as it was, it's not you don't approach I don't approach the budget necessarily the way you approach your own personal finances. You want to save money. And that's what you want to do. So you spend less, work harder, put a lot of way in savings, and say, well, I need this because I'm worried about some contingency further on down the line. So I want to make sure I've got enough stuck away for whatever it is.
Right.
You can do that. Don't quite. Nobody needs to question the wisdom of whether you want to be a spendthrift or a saver. I mean, obviously, that's whatever your lifestyle dictates that you should do. You do. The thing is that the savings that you put away is your money. So when you turn around and say, all right, now I want to draw back my savings, well, all you do is you take back the money that is yours that you saved, right? It's not the same for a municipality, because you don't take, if as a municipality, if I say, well, I want to create surplus, so I'm gonna tax you a lot of money, so I can have a big rainy day fund. I'm gonna have put all this money in savings. And then I'll pull it out when I need it for some contingency that may occur, and blah, blah, blah. Well, but the problem with that is that the money I take from you this year and I put away is not, you don't, if let's say no contingencies occur and I don't need to spend the money, I don't take it back and refund it back to you because you may not be living in the town anymore.
Right.
You may not be here.
Right.
It's not. I may save your money, but it's spend it on the next guy that comes into town. So it's not the same. It's not the same principle.
It's not a one-to-one.
No. It's your money now, and why should I be saying, well, I need you to put your money away in my savings account? And then when I pull it out to spend it, well, you may not be around to benefit from it anymore. But thank you for thank you for leaving your money behind.
Right.
So you get into these discussions, and there's certain especially in the special improvement districts, so water and sewer, carrying heavy balances, which they shouldn't.
Right.
They really shouldn't. Both legally, I don't think. I mean, legally they can, but they shouldn't. But on an equitable basis, they should not. And everybody says, well, these districts are infrastructure heavy, right? They are infrastructure heavy, but infrastructure that is usually when created, sewer, water distribution, and collection systems, lasts for decades. And the benefited properties from that infrastructure are those properties that benefited over those decades.
Right.
And it's not necessarily the same occupants over that period of time. As a matter of fact, people move in and out all the time. So you don't have someone build all the infrastructure on their dollar to be enjoyed by everybody else 20 or 30 years down the road.
Yeah.
So the idea is that you usually, for infrastructure, you bond it over the time of its useful life, because that's the most equitable way of financing it. And then you have user fees for the special improvement districts, such as water fees and sewage rents for the actual usage of the infrastructure. But the infrastructure itself should be paid out of bonding by the underlying assessment in the district. And to carry huge, big surpluses in that means that you've just overtaxed those people within the improvement district for a long period of time. And I think people are most familiar with sewers, who have been saying, oh, I've been paying a sewer tax for decades, but I still haven't gotten my sewer. And that's absolutely true.
Was that like that Halleck's Mill situation?
Yeah. But on that note, and then I'll segue with that, because on that note, actually, we were anticipating that in 2015, we'll actually break the impasse in terms of not being able to hook up any more properties to the sewer plant.
You will be able to.
Yeah. It looks like.
How long has that been going on?
25 years.
Jeez.
So
Wow.
the good news there is that we did meet. We put in an application for a new permit with DEC, for DEC, which is the Department of Environmental Conservation,
Right.
which is the state of New York. which issues the state police pollution elimination discharge permit or Speedy's permit, and that determines the amount of surface discharge that the plant can put out. And surface discharge basically means discharge at the end of a pipe, and instead of subsurface discharge. The subsurface discharge, people be familiar with that as a septic system.
Right.
This is a surface discharge. The plant takes in water and actually does a surface discharge into the Halleck's mill, which is within certain traveling time to the Croton Reservoir.
Right.
So, but before everybody thinks, oh, the effluent has a tertiary treatment with the disinfectant,
Right.
and so actually the water hitting the Halleck's mill downstream from the plant is better than the water upstream from the plant. Believe it or not, it actually enhances the water quality downstream.
Right.
Anyhow, we've asked for an amended a permit which allows us to do what we call a rolling average on our discharges on our flows, which will allow us to accommodate additional hookups as well as additional flows into the plant, which the plant can handle, which also allowed additional hookups. Plus, we've begun the process of doing what we call a variance procedure with the Department of Environmental Protection, which is with the City of New York, to hopefully get the amount of flows that we need to completely sewer all those properties that are practically sewable within the town of Yorktown and within the Halleck's Mill district. And that doesn't require us to have a lot of an additional permitted flow, but you're talking about 300,000 gallons a day, which the plant can easily handle. So we're starting the variance. We're starting to process the application to allow for that increased flow into the plant, and we're fairly optimistic that we should be able to get there. So I'm really very hopeful that in 2015 we will be able to issue our first
Oh, good.
sewer permits in the town. In the last since almost 25 years since we've been able to do that. So we're looking forward to that, and that will certainly help hopefully add value to those properties that need it.
Right.
Take out. Hopefully, we can do an extension to the district to take in properties that have had failing systems for a while. So that's in the works, and it's been something we've been working on diligently for the last couple of years, and I think we finally got the audience that we needed with DEP and DEC to be able to do that. So I'm very hopeful that will be something that will happen in 2015.
Right. Oh, good.
So.
Right, and then, well, we have to wrap it up, because I know you're on a very tight schedule, but just one thing you said, Supervisor, you're saying the annual tax increase would be less
65 cents.
than the annual tax increase, less, okay,
You're-
less than a cup of coffee. But I was going to say, is that a cup of coffee at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts?
No, it's
Or 7-Eleven.
It's a half. Yeah, no, it's
65 cents a year?
Yeah,
Is that what you're
it's the tax levy, which is what there's all various districts and there's budget lines. My proposed budget increases the levy, which is the difference between the non-real estate tax revenues
Right.
and the expenditures has to be filled by a levy, which
Right.
is the bill I send out to all the, and that bill is more than one line. It's it's all there's various
School taxes, yeah.
Well, no, it's not the school tax. It's the only thing that.
Oh, that's separate, right, that's right.
The only
That's
thing is that
collected by who, the school taxes?
we collect it.
Right.
Yeah, but we send out.
Yeah, but I thought that went through a different, okay, well.
No,
right.
so anyhow, I mean, you have every household gets a town tax line. Every household gets a refuse and recycling line. If you're 90% of the households get a water district, Yorktown Consolidated Water District tax line, and then
Right.
So, but all those are taxes that are levied through the town and within the town budget. And in New York, because there used to be some past practices where you would shift general town taxes, expenditures or revenues between special improvement districts,
Right.
rather than ledger them through the general budget line. In New York State said, look, we put this levy, we put the cap on the total levy because that just makes this eliminates, you can't increase over here and
Right,
decrease over there and say, look
right.
what a good boy I am, and just
Right.
vice versa. The levy is what the New York State Controller's Office looks at as to capping.
Right.
Again, we went down $1.2 million. It's going up 200, but we went down $1.2 million 2 years in a row.
Right.
So we're going up a little bit, but that is on it. So it's 200,000 on 29, almost $30 million levy.
Right.
So if you do the math, it's
Right.
0.006% increase in the levy, and then you do that over 14,000 parcels.
Homes, right, yeah.
And then and then look, there's it's ad valorem taxes. So there's some there's a median mean mode, whatever you want to
Right.
median assessed value. With this is half the homes above that, half the homes are above.
Right.
Lower.
Median, yeah, right, median, yeah.
So you basically take a look at that, and so you're over, and you basically look at what would be levied to what the median levy would be on a median home, and it basically comes up to it's less than the cost of the New York Post.
Right.
So
If you read the New York
if
Post.
you read the
Anyhow.
New York
And on that note, thank you for watching Grace Notes with Town of Yorktown Supervisor Michael Grace. I'm Bruce Apar of Chase Media Group. Be sure to watch us next time and every time, because Yorktown is your town. Thank you.